those of you who didn't meet me earlier, I am the Earl Marischal, and it is a pleasure to meet you all. I don't have time to learn each of your names, but nonetheless, I'll remember you all. What I'm here to do today is to tell you about the Black Watch. The Black Watch, one of Scotland's most famous regiments, one we should all be proud of, and if you've seen it earlier, I may have said some harsh words about them and was corrected by the Captain Gunn. I let him do it, of course. The Black Watch came about due to the British Army seeing the Highland fighting spirit, their martial prowess. They came up against these Highlanders, and time again they saw how brave these men were, and eventually they decided that they should bring these men into the army and they should make use of their brave skills. But I am not here to give you a history lecture, I'm here to show you living history. I'm here to show you how history felt, how it looked, and how it smelt, although I wouldn't smell them, it's pretty bad. And please, please forgive the drunken McGregor behind me. It's me. No relation to me at all, he's one of those hill skippers. Is this where I make this one? What I have today to show you, ladies and gentlemen, is the soldier of the British Army, a lowland Scottish soldier. Private Willie here is our model, handsome man. On the extreme left, your extreme right, I have Angus Dhu, Angus the Black, because he doesn't wash. The Highland warrior, the proud, brave Highland warrior. And what I have in the middle here, although you may not believe it at first, is the two cultures clashing together in the Scottish Black Watch soldier. Is that not me? No, you just behave yourself. What I'm going to show you is their uniforms, their weapons, how they fought, and how they died. It is a little bit gruesome, bear with us. Parental guidance. First off, we're going to show you the main garb of each man. Now for the British soldier, it's easy. Will you grab a waistcoat there for me, please? The British soldier, like me, has fashion sense and would wear a waistcoat as such. Now if you'd like to feel it, or don't smell it, please don't smell it, they are smelly, nasty soldiers. Feel free to come forward and see it for yourself. The other two we have here had something similar. Could you grab the waistcoats, please? Grab the waistcoat there. Right. Bring it forward. Show the lovely people here.
1716.
Just take the whole thing out. As you can see, the Highlanders' waistcoats are far smaller. And this is going to become evident very soon as to why. But as I stress, please do not smell it. Especially Angus Dhu.
Doesn't smell nice.
It can walk by itself.
Is that the same one, the same year?
I think it is. It's nice colour.
Right, let the men get dressed now, ladies. I think they're feeling the chills. Next off, the Redcoat soldier, famous for his red coat.
That's why it's called a Redcoat soldier.
Yes, that is why he's called a Redcoat soldier, Andrew. Please keep your opinions to yourself. As you can see here, the lieutenant bringing it around for you, the Redcoat, made famous throughout the world. The building of empires came from this jacket. It's a symbol of this country. Feeling better about yourself there, Campbell?
Yes, sir. It's your grace.
Captain, give you his kindness to bring the plate forward. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with a kilt. Who here's worn a kilt? Show of hands. Most of you. The origins of the kilt.
So that's still the Jacobite.
McGregor, do you want to help Captain there?
No, this is the British Army.
You might want to turn it round the other way. Lest we scare the audience.
Originally,
The kilt originally started off
it's got buttons on them,
with the
so
great
you
plaid,
can unfold them, so you get longer
or the
sleeves.
fillamo.
You fold the cuffs up and put the buttons on it. I think in Navy uniforms.
Now this, many of you may not believe it unless you've worn one already, in which case this is not such a novelty for yourselves. We'll turn into this. It's just not going to look quite as fancy because it's not as much gold. It's sash there, Captain. The way the fillamo works is that pleats would be folded into it, as the Captain will demonstrate. No pressure, Captain.
It's a nice kind of warm.
You can feel out every
And then the wearer would lie down and wrap it around himself, belting it, standing up, gathering it up, and pinning it onto his shoulder. Now if the Captain ever finishes,
It takes time for perfection. Lord.
then explain that.
there's that gap so the top song.
Explain your wig.
This is all natural. Feel free to touch, feel and smell the clothing that's coming round. Now next, a belt would be put underneath the plaid, where the waist would be. The Highlander would lie down onto the plaid. Highlander, lie down on the plaid. The instructions are very easy. Move up, Highlander. There we go. Amateurs, eh? The plaid would be folded over the said Highlander. Modelled for us by James Campbell here. Best that money could buy, or so I was told. The plaid would be belted on firmly. Make sure it's really tight so you can't breathe.
That's tight enough, I think.
Stand up. Then the Highlander would stand up, turn around. As you can see, there's big bits draping down the front here. These would be folded up into what was known as poacher's pockets. And the reason for this, I'll explain as soon as the great... We bought that for you, you wrecked the plaid. Fold them up into poacher's pockets.
Fold the corners. Stick it in at the hips.
Got to dress the British Army now. Shocking. I think my comments are becoming a little bit more... I'm not even going to start actually. It ended badly last time. The reason they're called poacher's pockets, I can't demonstrate not having a plaid, this isn't going to be strange in any way, is that these would form actual pockets in the plaid which you could put whatever you fancy in. Don't put money, there's a chance it might fall out. But for instance, if you were out poaching, you shouldn't, it's bad. A hare, perhaps, or perhaps any type of food stuff could be put in here, and it is actually quite fairly secure. And you're still free to get dressed. Next up, where the two cultures clash, is again the red coat. Where's the red coat? Bring it forward. This is a far shorter coat because obviously the plaid here, as it's bunched up, stops a longer coat from being worn. And what this is that with this you can see the Highland culture and the Lowland culture clashing together, the culture of the British Army. Because although he's been made to wear the red coat, they've had to change it around the Highland dress, so it's being shortened feel smart, Highlander? Yes, your grace. Use the proper titles, I like it. Angus will get dressed soon enough. He's a little bit slow. It's not his fault. Give some attention to our Redcoat over here. Do you have a tripod, sir? I do. Tripod forward and show the lovely people. The lowland Redcoat soldier on his head would wear the hat that you're about to see around here, a Tricorn Hat. Now this is the normal hat that would be worn by peasants around Scotland and England and parts of Europe, except that the three corners have been folded up, and this is just an advance in fashion. Much the same as how your jeans have gone from being, you know, bell-end bottom jeans to tight jeans, ripped jeans. It's just an advancement in fashion. That's all these corners provide. Try the hat on, sir. Try the hat on. On you go. Right. That's it, you're in the British Army now. Enlisted. Gun, I've got you another recruit.
I need them. Did you see my men earlier?
She looks scarier than the rest of them. Now the Highlander had a different type of hat. The bonnet. Now there's a misconception that all bonnets were blue, but this isn't the case. All bonnets in a Scottish Highland army are blue because it's regimented. Highland civilians would have had different coloured bonnets, as is shown here. Now, as you can see from Captain Gunn, he has the blue bonnet, and this is because he's part of a military establishment, much the same as when the Covenantan army was in Scotland. They all had the blue bonnet. It's a sign of uniform. Blue bonnet to the Highlander. Put it on. Now, can anyone tell me why this soldier here wears a black cockade? Does anyone know? Do you know? No, I didn't. You're in the British Army, so you should.
I know.
The black cockade is the Black Cockade of Hanover, and it's a distinguishing feature of him being part of the British Army, which of course at this point in time is run by the Hanover royal family, who have also become the British royal family. King George, German George, coming across and succeeding in the thrones from Anne. Now, a Highlander friend here has no cockade. Maybe because he's scared that if he wears a white one, he might get in trouble. The white cockade was a sign of the Jacobites and a rival claimant to the throne to George. He's not wearing a white cockade, he obviously wants to live past the day. A white cockade would be like you going out in the street with a flag. It's you going, this is the cause I support. You're stuck with black cockade, you're in the establishment. Now that they have their dress on, and as you can see now, we have a clash of cultures in the middle here, the red coat but still with the Highland dress. We can start to see some of the accoutrements they have on top of it. Now, in this age, although you did see some fancy sword fighting earlier from myself, the main weapon is the musket, and to use a musket you have to have bullets and powder. This was carried in a cartridge box, as is going to be shown here. This would sit on your right hip and contain pre-made cartridges which were used. The Highlander may or may not have a musket. This man does not have a musket, probably too dangerous in his hands, so doesn't actually wear the cartridge box. You've not got a cartridge box, have you, Highlander? What kind of soldiers do you employ here?
Actually, that's my fault.
What kind of officers are the Black Watch employing, I ask? Also worn by the Redcoat soldier would be a sidearm, known as a hanger. Yes, just the right place at the right time. Bring it forward and show the people. The hanger here is a small sword, rarely actually used. If you've drawn your sword, you're in trouble. As you can see, it has some guard in the handle and is actually the evolution of a design used a century before in the Civil War, known as a mortuary hilt. This in itself is a hanger. And feel free to come forward and try the weight of it. It's quite a light sword. Straight away in, hold the sword, I like it. He's one of mine.
But you'll find he's wearing red, he's one of mine.
Private Willie. Oh, who's dressed as Private Willie? You! Scruffy boy. Pick up that. Bring it to me. Now the hanger obviously can't just be held in the hand because he has to use his hands for shooting his musket. So it would be held in this, a baldric. Now in this period, there's some difference between regiments. Some would have shoulder baldricks as such, and some would have waist baldricks, which I don't think we actually have any here, do we? Oh wait, I'm wearing one. A waist baldric is such going round the waist like that. This is a shoulder baldric variety, and it just depended on the colonel of the regiment as to, yes, you can take that out, as to what they would have. The colonel actually had the biggest influence in the dress of any regiment. He more or less chose, other than the colour, what the regiment would be wearing. So for instance, the facings, as you can see here, yellow facings in the cuffs, chosen by the colonel. Here we can see black facings. You're wearing the wrong facings, boy. British Army, hey, British Army. Private Willie, you can put on all the accoutrements that we've discussed. As you can see him putting on right now, the haversack. The haversack was basically the bag that would carry his food utensils, if he could write, any writing equipment, perhaps some rosary beads if he was that way inclined, although in this day and age it's probably not a good idea. The man in the middle, the Highlander, would also have a haversack. Put on your haversack, boy. Private Paddy, there's a trooper. The Highlander needs none of this, because he has his poacher's pockets and not much to put in them. It's not fun being poor, is it, Angus? His face says it all. Now, Angus here doesn't have a uniform sword like the Redcoat soldier. He'll be carrying whatever could come through his hands. Now, predominantly this is going to be a basket hilt, a favourite sword of the Highlands. Here, he has a far older blade, which is clearly stolen off of something. Bad Angus. I'll be having that afterwards. Highlanders are famed for basket hilts, but in actual fact, the amount of Highlanders who had basket hilts was quite low. Having a sword was a symbol of status. As you can see, I have a very nice one. To have a sword, you have to be a bondsman of the chief. You have to have some money and some status. What would normally be used by the Highlanders would be, if they were military, a musket, but more likely if they were called to battle, they would bring whatever implements they could. Farm tools, sticks, even bows and arrows were still being used by them. To find one with a sword is quite a rarity, especially in this case. Maybe it isn't. Oh, actually, I think it's more dangerous in his hands, to be honest. Now, the man in the middle here did have a uniform sword, and as he's a Highlander, it is the basket hilt. Now, I'll show you my own here. The basket hilt is a weapon that developed from Europe. It's a cavalry sword, so for people on horseback to cut down. As you can see, it's got a fantastic guard on it, and it's actually quite a well-developed sword. The British government armed its Highlanders with swords because they knew they'd rather use these than the muskets, so they gave them quite good swords. The firearms they were given were substandard because they knew that what was likely to happen was they'd fire one shot and charge in because they're uncivilized and barbarians. But nonetheless, you would have quite a good sword here. It's quite a good sword you have there, boy, isn't it? Feel free to. It's fantastic protection for the hand. My weapon of choice because I like my fingers where they are. Would anyone else like to feel the basket hilt broadsword? Oh,
That's really heavy.
it's heavy, yeah? Oh. Nice sword, isn't it? Do you want to feel it? Oh. Heavy, isn't it? The basket hilt broadsword, the famous sword of Scotland. Now, as I said before, the sword was not the main weapon used in this period. It was actually the musket. Now, a Redcoat private on your extreme left does have a said musket, doesn't he? Step forward, Private Willie. 3 paces. Now, the musket, the Brown Bess musket as well, probably one of Britain's most famous firearms and most dangerous to its user as well. The way it worked was here we had a mechanism that carried a flint. The flint would strike down and create a spark which would ignite black powder, which would then propel a shot of ball out of the barrel. Now, Private Willie here is going to be kind enough to give you a demonstration. Paddy, carry on. Attachment, left, face! Attachment, prime, your firelock! As you can see, he's bit the paper cartridge to pour some powder into the priming pan. He then closes it to keep it in so it doesn't fall out because that would ruin the shot. Cast about to charge! Put your right hand under the lock. He's then poured the rest of his powder down the barrel to propel the shot. Attachment, cock, your firelock. Present! Fire! Cover your arms. Shoulder, your firelock. I think that was more of the wine knocking you over than the bullet itself. You fool! Oh, it's in the tree somewhere. Pull him back in, Paddy. Attachment. Left. Face. 3 paces. Right about. Face. Attachment. Rest on your arms. Little round of applause for Private Willie there. Gun. Those men shoot better than yours.
That is my men.
Well, not the Black Watch. It's proper soldiers.